Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Chill Sports Vlog. And what we have this week is called Monster Saturday, as they're calling it, on ESPN this weekend in college football. Let's get right into it. Big weekend of college football action. Top 25 teams playing each other all over the place. Real big implications. And yeah, it's only week 2 of the college football season, but you kind of feel like there's some title game aspirations for teams that could, and those dreams could die this week as they play some really tough opponents. Let's get right into it. So far the college football season, big weeks. In the first weeks for Notre Dame and Michigan. The first week was great in South Bend for head coach Chip Kelly and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It was also great for Rich Rodriguez in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and his Wolverine squads. But something's going to happen after this week as they play each other in South Bend. Tensions will rise if you don't win. If you win, you ride the momentum. If you lose, it's time to face the critics, and who knows, you could have a slide from there. Also this week, Ohio State, Miami, big game. All about respect. A lot of people going back to the 2003 title game. Ohio State, Miami, maybe saying this is a revenge game for Miami. I think it's more of a respect game for Miami. Really want to put themselves back on the map to show the country that their program is back to being a national powerhouse like they were back in the 80s and 90s, and I think they're ready to do that. And they can take a big step this Saturday afternoon in Columbus. OSU, Ohio State, they want to show that they're not going anywhere, and they're legit as well. Also be interesting this week to see how some teams bounce back. As you know, Florida last week against Miami of Ohio had 13 fumbles. They only lost 4 of them, but they had 13 fumbles or messed up exchanges between quarterback Mike Pouncey and quarterback John Brantley and the center Mike Pouncey. It'll be interesting to see how they return from that. Also, Oklahoma last week, they need to bounce back this week. They give up 28 points to Utah State last week, winning 31-28, squeaking one out. Alabama this week looks like no running back, Heisman Trophy, Mark Ingram again. He'll be out this week. So now that begs to ask the question, who's the better running back on the field this Saturday in Tuscaloosa? Will it be Trent Richardson for the Alabama Crimson Tide, or will it be Evan Royster for the Penn State Nittany Lions? That's a real good question. It'll be interesting to see. And also a real good SEC matchup of 2 top 25 teams that a lot of people aren't really knowing about too much. Good Saturday afternoon game, under the radar type of game. Georgia and South Carolina. Number 22 ranked Georgia Bulldogs, number 24 ranked South Carolina Gamecocks. Should be a real good game. Freshman quarterback Aaron Murray for the Georgia Bulldogs. See how he can handle a tough crowd and a tough South Carolina defense, especially without All-American wide receiver A.J. Green. With that, let's get right into the picks here. Start off with the number 1 team in the country, the Alabama Crimson Tide, at home in Tuscaloosa. Be taking on the 18th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. Both teams 1-0. Both teams convincing in their first week wins. I like Alabama in this one, even with no Mark Ingram. I think Greg McElroy, Julio Jones, Trent Richardson, and the defense just much faster for Penn State. Usually when you get a Southern team, and we'll talk about it here later in the other games coming up, but a Southern team usually focuses on speed. A team that plays in the South, a lot better athletes, more speed. A team from Midwest, usually not as good as athletes maybe per se, but a little bit more physical. I think this week it's going to be too much for Alabama, or too much for Penn State. I think Alabama's speed will be too much. Alabama, a pretty strong football team as well. I like that one, 31-17 for Bama. And then we'll see. We'll still have Alabama, the Crimson Tide, number 1 team in the country still. On a number 2 team in the country, why not? Another top 25 matchup, the Ohio State Buckeyes at home in Columbus in the Horseshoe, taking on the Miami Hurricanes. Very, very tough one to pick. Could go either way. If Miami's quarterback Ja'Cory Harris steps up and plays like he's capable, the Miami speed will outdo the talent of Ohio State. It will. But I just don't think Harris is ready for this type of challenge yet. I think he's a good Heisman candidate, but the Heisman candidate on the other side of the field, more legit. Terrell Pryor, number 2 for the Buckeyes. He's going to make play after play in this game with his feet and with his arm. And look for him to just really disrupt the Miami defense, which is a very good one, but look for him to cause problems. And I think after a while, the running game is going to set in for Ohio State. Boom Herron, Anthony Boom Herron, Brandon Sane. I think those guys are really going to pound the rock against Miami, and Miami's not going to have much to do with it. Also, weather can be a factor this week in Columbus, so Ohio State may have the advantage there, being a better running team. 24-13 Buckeyes, I like them. Number 3 ranked Boise is off this week. They play Virginia Tech. and won this week. As you know, TCU, number 4 in the country, number 5 Texas, and number 6 Nebraska I all see rolling this week. Number 7 Oregon plays at Tennessee. Oregon put up 72 points on New Mexico last week. What do they do for an encore? Well, they'll roll into Rocky Top there in Knoxville, Tennessee, and play the Volunteers. I think Oregon still rolls. Great offense, even without Jeremiah Masoli. They don't need him. LaMichael James will be back this week for Oregon, the running back, and look for him to have a big game against Tennessee. 45-13 Oregon will take that one. I see it. My upset pick of the week. Have the flashing lights going. My upset pick of the week, down in the swamp in Gainesville, and I live in northern Florida, and I'm sure a lot of people who watch this, and I have some people in the local area who like this, and they're not going to be too happy with this pick, though. I like the USF Bulls to walk into Gainesville and pull one off against the Gators. I just see USF. I see USF taking advantage of this uncrafty Florida team. Florida struggled against Miami, Ohio. I see USF coming in there with a bit of an attitude, a bit of a swagger. Skip Holtz, this can be a big one for him. This can be a signature win right off the bat at USF. I like them to beat Florida in the swamp, 21-20. My Iowa Hawkeyes, as you see back there, they'll take on their rival Iowa State. Iowa State hasn't scored a touchdown on them in I think I figured it up, 1,456 days come Saturday. It's been over 3 years since Iowa State's put up a touchdown on Iowa. They may get a cheap one at the end of this game, I'm sorry to say, but the Hawkeyes are going to roll 27-13 Iowa. And then on the number 10 ranked team, Oklahoma. Talked about them briefly earlier. They'll take on a very talented Florida State team. Oklahoma shredded last week defensively against the pass against Utah State. Squeaked out a win 31-28, but it gave up over 340 yards passing. Christian Ponder is no joke, folks. He's a great ball player, great passer. But I think he'll have a field day. Close to 400 yards possibly against this Oklahoma secondary, who, even though they were without 2 starters last week, they get them both back this week, 2 corners. I still think Ponder's going to have a field day against them. The defensive scheme again for Oklahoma is just not going to be able to match up. The difference is going to be DeMarco Murray, though, for Oklahoma. He's going to run wild on this FSU defense. I also look for Broyles to hook up with Landry Jones in the passing game. Oklahoma's going to put up some scores. The FSU defense completely unproven. I like Oklahoma 44-31 in this one. High-scoring game. But Oklahoma, especially Tim Norman, 36-game home winning streak. They don't lose too much at home. And that SEC game, we're talking about kind of the hidden one there, the pretty good one. Georgia, South Carolina. I like South Carolina just because of the freshman quarterback. We talked about him, Aaron Murray for Georgia. Not too much. I'm not going to expect too much out of him. I think South Carolina, the old ball coach, pull off some tricks and pull off a win for the SEC opener for both teams. And then and a big one also, we talked about it just to start it off, Michigan and Notre Dame. Going to be a really great game, high scoring, I think. 2 great teams up and coming. One of them is going to win and ride it. One of them is going to lose and be in the dumps. I think the one that's going to lose it is going to be Notre Dame. I think Denard Robinson, Shoelace as he's known in Ann Arbor, is going to have another field day. Right now, if the Heisman was given out today, Denard Robinson would win it. He's been that talented so far and that productive in just 1 game, but he's been great and a great catalyst to this Michigan team. Denard Robinson, look for him to have a big game. But that'll do it for the Chill Sports Blog. A great monster Saturday, as they're calling it, in college football this week. Be sure to tune in. Also, the NFL opening up this week. We'll get you some picks tomorrow on that. But enjoy the second week of the college football season. And until next time, you and yours have a good one. Thanks.